I'll move on to the last topic, that is feminism, and I will connect that to Simone de Beauvoir, the second sex. Okay, you have to bear with me for another 20 minutes and I shall close this session. Okay, I'm exhausted. Yeah, until I give break to my voice for some time, can you please turn to your instruction material on page number 162. Yes. Okay, last point for discussion is feminisms. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think Simone de Beauvoir's text and one particular chapter, Myth and Reality, from the very influential work called The Second Sex, okay, of Simone de Beauvoir, is prescribed for you for this particular course. Okay. And if you go to page number 159, you see the ideas there. You just please look at them and then I will discuss that. Okay. You please concentrate on what is authority. Any one of you please read for me. Authority.
Is the state of being.
Yes, Rubina, you can continue.
Okay. Alterity is the state of being different or other. Here, alterity refer to the differences in the lives of men and women that make them potentially close to each other. It may also lead to the exploitation of women by men in their daily lives.
Okay, so alterity is a concept that talks about the differences in the lives of men and women. Okay. Next point, please. Existentialism.
Existentialism. Existentialism is a philosophy that became popular in the second decade of the 20th century.
Okay, don't go into those details, please. Just come to the concept. Okay, turn to next page and see society has its own rules.
Freedom. That's eminence.
No. I'm talking about to read the lines called from society has its own rules. 160, please, Yadama. Page number 160. Rohina, you please read the first line of page 160.
Okay, ma'am. However, society has its own rules and imposes itself on the individual, and it's usually obeyed out of fear or the temptation of reward. Such a life is dishonest to oneself, and it's inauthentic, and an inauthentic life leads to alienation, a situation in which the individual's relationship is broken with the society, which is forcing itself on him or her from God, and worst of all, from himself or herself. The individual is called the existent, who has the freedom to choose any action they want to do.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like it's like imposition on the individual to do whatever he feels like doing. Okay, existent, but the freedom to choose. That can lead him to be alienated also. Okay. I think better I do it rather than waste the time and make it read. Okay, you have myth of eternal feminine here. Yeah. Okay. So you see, Simone de Beauvoir. So this is related to the concept and the essay together. I am taking. So listen carefully so that I can at least give you an overview of what is there in that. Okay. So Simone de Beauvoir, a French philosopher, a novelist, okay, who wrote a very influential book called The Second Sex. And this book stands as a very significant book in the feminist discourse. Okay, and this book, it has a very famous sentence called, "One is not born, but rather becomes a woman." This statement, this single sentence, this famous sentence in the book called The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir, a French philosopher, it tries to encapsulate the entire argument that would make people to think for next 50 years. I repeat, one is not born, but rather becomes a woman. This particular statement in the book, okay, it is for the another 50 years this can be debated. So one brief sentence that touched upon questions and issues, okay, that lies very significant in the heart of the feminist inquiry, in the feminist discourse. Okay, so in an attempt to address these simple question, okay, what is a woman? Feminism stands to, or feminism becomes a fractured, divided, and contradictory. Okay, why? Because it has also strengthened through this particular statement, it has strengthened, it has developed, and it has evolved into important discourse. And what is that discourse? Okay, so feminism is not a simple statement now, which talks about the equality rights of women, but feminism no longer remains as a single theory, but a discourse. A discourse which talks about, which has a discussion of multiple related ideas. Okay, so when feminist discourse began to address the literary text in 1970s, okay, new question arose about the nature of women, okay, about the nature of women writer, okay, how she differs and what it meant for her to write and what it meant for her to read as a woman. Okay, so Simone de Beauvoir and the second, you know, the waves of feminism and the second wave, right? So the history of feminism is divided into different waves. First wave from 1830 to 1920, okay, and it is, of course, it is best recalled as a suffragette movement where women were fought for the right to vote. First wave of feminism. And second wave from 1960 to even the present day, you can call them like, and it was organized around women's liberation. Okay, so in the history of feminism, that is divided into waves, okay, with separate specific agenda. First wave concentrating on the suffragette movement, second wave on the organized women liberation. This particular text of Simone de Beauvoir, which is prescribed for you, The Second Sex, it appeared as an interim between these two periods. Okay, these two periods of feminist activity. So de Beauvoir can be placed within the history, okay, within this particular type of history, because it is difficult, but it can be understood as a bridge between the two waves. So combining them, we can say there is a progressive social vision of the first and the beginning to articulate some of the suspicions that were around this femininity, around this gender, okay, that would become very significant for this particular text. So this particular text, The Second Sex, okay, which has come in English translation, okay, stands as important to feminism because de Beauvoir constructed an epic account. Okay, it is an epical account of gender division, an epical account of gender division throughout history, examining the biological, the psychological, historical, and cultural explanations. Okay, for the reduction of women to a second or a lesser sex. Okay, So this is like the fight for women's rights. This book, The Second Sex, stands as an epical account of women's rights, okay, that remained, especially during the second wave, to be stand as very crucial because they were articulated, okay, with powerful slogans like equal pay for equal work, equal pay for equal work. Okay, when man and women are performing the same work, why there should be a less payment for women? So there emerged equality feminism. Okay, equality feminism, and this particular concept of equality feminism was associated with Betty Friedan, okay, an American feminist. Okay, and her important work is The Feminine Mystique. Please make a note. The Feminine Mystique. Okay, Betty Friedan, an American feminist, okay, who articulated with the slogan called equal pay for equal work, okay, and who proposed an idea of equality feminism associated with equality feminism, and her work Feminine Mystique. It exposed the frustrations and psychological distress of 1950s, especially the housewives in America. Okay, and therefore they formed an organization called National Organization of Women, that is abbreviated as acronymed as NOW, NOW. Okay, and if you come across NOW as an organization, you must recollect Betty Friedan, who is a founder personality, okay, who campaigned for the legal rights of women. And this organization became one of the leading figures of the equal rights movement. Okay, so this is how this particular work, okay, Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex talks about. And you have a lot of arguments there where Simone de Beauvoir talks about the biological differences, where Simone de Beauvoir talks about the existentialism, where she talks about the philosophy that emphasizes on the self-determination, where she asks why women and motherhood, okay, where she gives all the questions of marriage, okay, and all these belief, okay, where women is different because she is a mother, women is different because she is naturally weak, all these issues, okay, de Beauvoir tried to prove them to be false. Okay, the belief that the female is protected. Say, for example, if somebody, even now, a woman is always identified as a daughter of so and so, okay, wife of so and so. When you grow old, mother of so and so. Okay, when you are small, daughter of so and so, XYZ. When you are grown up and becomes a better half of somebody, always you are identified as Mrs. So and so, wife of so and so. When you grow old, you will be identified as mother of so and so. Okay, so she refutes this type of belief. Okay, she tries to prove it false, that the female is always protected. Even now, if you see, if it becomes 6 o'clock and if you want to go to a neighbor's shop to buy some chips, tangles or bingo, okay, and if you are very young enough, your parents will always ask you take your younger brother who is just 5th class or 6th class as a company. Why? Because there is a belief that they are seen as a protective mode. Okay, so all these arguments, okay, are debated in this particular essay. So the female is protected and provided for by her male partner, okay, and therefore she is happy, and therefore she seems to be content. Okay, she is thought to be content. Okay, therefore her needs are provided, okay, by buying a better husband for crores of dowry. Okay, so de Beauvoir refuted this belief by introducing the concept of transcendence, and immanence. Please write this. These are two important concepts in the entire essay. If you understand this, you will understand the entire essay. Please write in your notebook. Transcendence. Transcendence. Number 2, immanence. Immanence. Okay, she brings in these two concepts. Okay, where Debout refutes the belief by introducing these two concepts in this particular book. What does that mean? She argues that the fulfillment of human potential must be judged not in terms of happiness, but in terms of liberty. I repeat, she argues that the fulfillment of human potential must be judged not in terms of happiness, but in terms of liberty. Okay. Now please make a note. Male. Male is believed to be transcendent. So the concepts of two concepts which I said, transcendence and immanence. We are trying to elaborate on that, and if you understand this, you will understand the entire essay. You can read the instruction material and you will be thorough with that. Male is believed to be transcendent. That is, his work and invention will shape the world for future. Will shape the world for future generations, thereby affording him a form of immortality. Transcendentalism, immortal. Okay, immortality. There is no death. Okay, so male is believed to be transcendent, and therefore his work, his inventions, all these will shape the world for future generations. Thereby, he is in the form of immortality. So, male is believed to be transcendent. Number 2, female is immanent. Immanent. Okay, female is immanent because through motherhood, she produces next generation. And how is this production? Purely in an animal way, and therefore does not otherwise affect the future. Okay, therefore they are excluded from this pursuit of knowledge. And what is happening now? The liberty is limited, and therefore it is defined and granted by someone. Ultimately, therefore, no liberty at all. So, male transcendent, female immanent. Transcendent through what? Inventions for future generations. Immanent through just production, and therefore no contribution. Okay. So for Simone de Beauvoir, the key to female emancipation is in women's release from all these bodily identification. Okay, and this bodily identification, therefore, is like it's like a schism in human experience. So, immanent body, transcendent mind. So, immanent and transcendent being, both, that is body, mind, comes up with a philosophy called mind over matter philosophy. Okay, so Second Sex as an important influential text, it has seeds, okay, of many different feminisms that emerged about how as per de Beauvoir's argument, that bodily desires and hunger, lust can be overcome by this intellectual, emotional, potential liberty. Okay, so of course there are a lot of debates, starting from existential debate of Lucy Irigaray to and other literary feminists who spoke a lot about such type of feminism. Please write the names and I will close the session. Okay. Okay, you write this name, essentialism debate. Write the name of Lucy Irigaray, okay, who whose argument basically is as an essentialist argument, who speaks that women definitely are definitely they are biologically different, but she celebrates womanhood. Okay, she says, I am proud to be a woman. Okay, so she is she that is one aspect of feminism where she is not able to advocate of what Debord was trying to talk about, anti-essentialism. Okay. Okay. And the next writer, please write this name also. Okay, all these are existentialist debates on feminisms. Okay, next, Mary Daly. She is an American feminist theologian who talks more on ecofeminism. Her work is exclusively called as Gyn ecology, GYN/ecology. Okay, her focus is on existentialist feminist valued concepts of harmony and synthesis in terms of ecofeminism. Okay.
Ma'am, can you repeat the name?
Mary Daly, MaryDaly, American feminist theologian. Okay, theologian is a female priest-like person. Okay, then I will stop here. And please read your instruction material, and I will try to take a snap of whatever you have asked of page number 16 and 17, because I will leave all this material at college, so better I take it now, and one of you can send your phone number and I will post it there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
All the best, do well, and hope I have done whatever I'm supposed to do as an overview at least of whatever is allotted to me. See you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.